Okay, well, this is the Module 2 SAM Worksheet Project 1A instructions. So as I was saying, the very first thing I do before I start working on these things, and remember, I've been working in Excel for more years than I want to admit to. But there's things I can't remember every single thing that they want done, how to do it. They keep changing. So I'll go through this here and sit there and go, okay, yeah, I'll read this. Okay, I know how to rename a worksheet. Okay, we can change the color of the tab. Auto fit a column, pretty easy. Change the width of a column, that's easy. Title, cell in there, that's easy. Merge and center. Center, use the format. Bottom double border in there. So I'll go through these things. Okay, these are percentages in here. Conditional formatting. Okay, so here, conditional formatting I don't use very often, but it seems pretty easy. They give you good rules. And then move a worksheet. So, and then this is what it's going to look like. So I'm going to move this to the other screen, and I'm going to open up Microsoft Word, which should be this one here. And remember that when you are working on these things, make sure to check that it's got your name on it. So you can see it has my name over here on it. So that's the right one. So it's telling me right now to save it to the same thing, only with a 2 after it. So I'm a big fan of F12. And I'm just going to make this change to a 2. You all know how to do that. And you can see we have different worksheets in the workbook again. Remember, the workbook is a combination of worksheets. Just think of it as a textbook has sheets in it, sheets of paper in it. That's what I use to remember the difference between a worksheet and a workbook in here. So I've saved that in here. It tells me ensure in here. If cell BD does not display your name, then we have a problem. And this is BD over here. It does. So that's pretty good. And we will now, let's see, go to the actual steps. Now, I do not have the chat box open, and I do not have the participants open. So if you have a question, please unmute your mic and just ask me what the question is, and I'll be more than happy to help you in here. So I'm talking about Anita Cruz. She's a trainer. She's using Excel, blah, 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 blah. She's been asked to format a workbook to make the information clearer and easier to understand. So first thing we want to do is go to the evaluations worksheet. To do that, just click on it. And you can see that it is darker in here. So going back and forth, you can see the different worksheets. So I'm clicking on this here, and here is our evaluations worksheet in here. Doesn't look all that swift. Things are kind of hard to read up here. Can't even read this, and nothing is formatted nice, but that's what it's going to be in here. Okay, so first thing it tells us to do is rename the evaluations worksheet to Spring 2020. Remember, I said the first thing that you should do if you're not sure how to do something is try right-click. So right-click is going to let you do tab color. It's going to let you do rename. So we want to rename it, and we want to rename it to Spring 2021 Evaluations.
Excuse me, Professor.
Yes.
Can you tell us which part you are doing?
Well, I'm doing the bottom of number 1 in there.
Okay.
So I'll try to remember to call out the names, and I'll read the instructions before I do it. And then I'll try to move the instructions back and forth. There's no way for me to have them both on the same screen because of logistics. I have 2 monitors, so you'd only see one of them anyway. All right, so it's Spring 2020 evaluations. What I recommend you doing is maybe keeping a copy of the instructions ahead.
For the instructions, I don't know which project you're working on.
I'm doing the Module 2 SAM Project 2A.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So what I would, this is just a suggestion, I would recommend that you open up the instructions for it, and then you can look on my computer, that should be on your screen, and you can go back and forth on that. So that's why I cannot work without two screens. I have to have two screens, and if I had room on my desk, I would have three. But I do not have room, so I deal with the two. All right, so we have renamed the worksheet. Remember, right-click is your friend. And make sure you hit the enter to change it. Then let's rename the tab color to, or change the tab color, it says, to blue-gray, text number 2, fourth column, first row. So fourth column is, and that's the fourth row, blue-gray, text number 2. So that has, so let's move this over here so you can see that it's changed in here. So that is all of number 1. So let me bring the instructions over, and I'll just go over a couple steps that we're going to do. Okay, here we go. All right, so we just did this. So we're going to use the auto fit, and I can drag this down over here. It's easy to show, to fit contents A. So to do that, remember, move up between the two columns. So we want A. As soon as we see the double-headed arrow, then just double-click on it, and that makes it to fit, period. And the reason why it's here is because it'll have to fit for the evaluation scores. So the next step is we want to change the width of column E to 15. And so that the text professionalism is completely visible. Well, here we're doing it manually. So it tells us to column E, which is this. So we're going to click on it here. I always click on it first, and then right-click and choose column width. And I believe they wanted it 15. So that takes care of that. Now, obviously, we can't read professionalism or any of that, but we'll fix care of that in a second. All right, so we've done that. Apply the title style to the range A1 to E4, then increase the font size to 20. All right, so we want to apply the title. The title is going to be up here. You'll see here, you don't see it in here, but we're going to do that. And to the range, then increase the font size to 20 point to make it stand out. So it tells us we want to go to A1 to E1. So this is A1 here to E1. And then we're going to apply the title. So I don't see title here, so let's click over here. And let's see if we can find titles. And there's title. That changes that for you. The next is we want to change the font size to 20. So all we have to do here, we're selected in here already. So all we have to do is go in here and click on 20. So that takes care of that. I don't really like this color, but that's just me. So now let's see, center the text in B4, and let me see, merge and center A3 to, let me move this over here. So we want to merge and center the range A3 to E3, and then clarify that the text is the title for the range in there. All right. So let's do the first thing. We want to merge and center A3 to E3. So here's A3, and I'm going to use shift and arrow to go over. However you do it is you're fine. All you have to do now is click on merge and center. So that will merge the cells and center them. That was number 5 part, and then so So the text is a title for the range A4 to B12. So this is the title for the range over here, current evaluation scores. Center the text in range, well, let's move it over. Center the text in range B4 to E4 and change the font color to white. So we're going to center it manually. So we want A3 to B3, or rather B4 to E4. So here's B4 to E4. I may have done a step wrong. Let me go back and, okay, merge and center. Okay, all right, I did. I'm just seeing this differently because it's so dark. So we want to, in B4 to E4, we want to change the font color to white, and we want to center the text. So let's select B4 to E4. To center the text. Now this is horizontally and vertically. This is the actual horizontal vertically. So we're going to click on this. That centers everything inside the cell. Now we want to change the font color to white because obviously that's very challenging to read. So white is right up top here. Okay, that did not work. So let's click on it again. Now you'll know if it works if the font color itself changes. See how it's changed up here. If you're just doing a preview and it doesn't change, then you know that you didn't actually apply the changes. So that takes care of number 6 and first column in here to make the column headings easy to read. All right. So it wants us to use the format painter to apply the format from range A7 to E7 to the range A9 to E9. So A7 to E7. So here is A7. And we're going to just click on the format painter. Now the format painter is kind of a little tricky to do, but you get the hang of it. And then we can just drag this over and click outside to make sure that it's done. So that worked over here. So apparently they're trying to do every other row as a different color. So that took care of that. Then let's go to, in here, we just did the format painter here. Italicize the contents of range A1 to A12 and change its color to Calibri Light. So we want to A1 to A12 and Calibri Light for the font. So here is A11 and A12. Font color. And italicize it. And then the font, we want Calibri Light, which is right here. I don't see anything that is going to change the color. In the range A11 to E12, apply a bottom double border and then change the fill color. So I'll read that for you so you can see it. In the range A12 to E12, apply a bottom double border to the cells and then change the fill color to blue, gray, blah, 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 blah. So that's too much reading, but you can see what you want to know over here. So let's select the row A11. And then I'm going to shift click in E12. So we want to apply a bottom double border. So that's kind of easier than it sounds. If you just click on the arrow next to the border, you'll see a bottom double border, which is right here. So you don't have to mess with any more borders. It's there for you. So now I know you can't see it real easy, but once we get there and the range, the fill color blue into the cells and change the fill color to blue, gray, text light, lighter 80. So we want to change the fill color in here. So let's see what this will do. And it's text, the fourth column, second row. 1, 2, 3, 4. And second row is lighter 80%. Perfect. So now we have this going on here. Anita wants to know at a glance that she is receiving. So now you can see the double border over here. So your question should be, why did we do both of them? And that's just to select it. But when you have a bottom border, the bottom border only goes to the one bottom, only one bottom. So just bear that in mind when you're selecting more than one row. Okay, Nita wants to know at a glance which courses she's receiving excellent evaluations in here. So let's go back up here. She wants to know where she's getting excellent evaluations on the average in the range B12 to E12. So let's do some conditional formatting so you can see. So we want the range B12 to E12. So here is B12. And here is E12. So we're going to go into conditional formatting. So we'll click the down arrow and let's see what it says. We want to do highlight cell rules. So it's telling us here. And then we want anything that is greater than 17 filled with dark red. So greater than, we're going to type in 17. I'm not sure why it had 17 in there already, but if it didn't, you put in 17 itself and fill light red filled with dark text, which happens to be this here. And so you can see only these things are greater than 17. So that's why they are a different color. So now what we're going to do is, we've done this here. We're going to apply a short date to C14 and percentages to C15. So that's pretty easy. Short date is just one of the formats. So let's go to C14 and just go to the date, do the drop down, and here's our date. So you can see that the short format would be this. Now, if you're not sure exactly which one it is in here, in other words, it's going to give you some in there. So let's see if it says short date anywhere, but it doesn't actually say short date in here. So I'm going to click on this and see if this is correct. And then I'm going to go to my, what it looks like, and see if we in here. So the review date is not correct. So there's your guideline as to when you're choosing something, a specific format, and you're not 100% sure which one to use. So we'll go back in here. If you click on the date here, you can see that it now has short date. So my point being is there are different times that you do things different ways. And always go back when you're not unsure, because notice it didn't tell you specific short date. So now we're going to go back here and change it. And that gives us the short date format. Let's go back to where we were. Now we want to apply the percentage number format to C15 to a cell, contains percentage, and increase the number of decimal places to 0. So all we need to do is click in C15, which happens to be here. And I'm going to, don't choose this here. I'm going to go in the arrow and I'm going to choose percentage. And I did not do that very well. So let's try percentage. And it doesn't give us any chance. I don't understand. So here's what you do. Now we're doing the exact opposite of the first one. This one gives you more options. This one is specific formats. So now we're going to go to percentage and we're going to click on this here because it does not want anything. Let's see. Decrease the decimal places to 0. So notice that there's two different ways of doing the same thing. One gives you more flexibility. When you click on the arrow down here, you get more flexibility. These are shortcut, predefined things for you to do. All right, so we want to apply the accounting number format to cell C16. And we are going to decrease the number of decimal places to 0. They give you a hint in here. Depending on how you complete the end, the number form may appear as custom instead of accounting. So we're going to click, go in here, and first thing we're going to need to do is click in cell C16, wherever that is, C16, and we want to do the accounting. So I'm going to go to here. I'm going to choose accounting and decrease the number of places to 0. And let's see, okay, make here is custom instead of round. All right, so let's see how that works out. So that's 6 to 16. So again, let's go and look and see what we look at over here. 6, 16, 80, and 4, 14, 21. Perfect. So we'll go back up. We're almost actually done. So we're on number 14. Enter the score 15 in cell E10. So here is E10, and if I don't remember how to get to E10 or I'm too lazy to find it, I can type in E10 here. And that makes it very easy for me to get there. Then we want to enter the score 15 in E10. So I'll just type in 15. And then it says, and then delete row 18 because Anita no longer needs the reminder note in there. So I was just saying goodbye to my wife. So excuse me. So enters in, then delete row 18. So here's 18. All you need to do is click on the 18 and then right click, or you can right click on it, the 18 as well, and choose delete. So that will delete that. Now that is not the same as when you hit the delete key. This deletes the whole row whatsoever. So we want to check the spelling and correct any errors. Well, we know that F7 is a shortcut for spelling in Microsoft Word. So let's see if that works as well here. Okay, spell check is complete. If you're not sure where it is, start clicking on these different things and say, well, review would be good. And there's your spelling right there. All right. So Anita wants to keep track of her requirements for the train-to-trainer certificate. Let me bring this over to you. Anita wants to keep track of the requirements for the train-to-trainer certificate in a workbook. Go to the certificate requirements worksheet, find and replace all occurrences with CR, and notice it looks like a period, with credits. So let's go to the certificate requirements. Okay, well, I don't remember how to find and replace. So we can do it different ways. So let's start with the home and see if there's something that says find and replace. Well, there's find and select. So let's see if there's an option here. And there's replace. So first thing we want to do is we want to find all occurrences of CR and a period. So I'm typing CR, and let me see if it's lowercase, which it is. And I'm going to replace it with credits. Now it says find and replace all occurrences. I am not a big fan of starting off right away with replace all. So the first thing I'm going to do is click on find next. And it has it here. So I'll click on replace. Then it found another one. So I'm going to click on replace all. So we're done. And I can close that. That took care of this one. For the range B3 to C8, increase the number of decimal places displayed by 1. Well, there's different ways that you can do that. And I'll show you 2 of them. One is really easy. One is even easier. So we have B3 to C8. So this is B3 to C8. And it says increase the decimal places by 1. Well, you can click on this or you can click on this. So one is decrease and increase if you want to do it by 1. So let's click on this and see what it does. So it adds 1 decimal place. So we're going to go down here. And we'll look at what we have in here. So that looks pretty good. And moving back up to where we needed to be. That was number 17. So the other way would have been just to go and down here. And you can increase the decimal places this way. So whatever way is easier for you. Just remember, this will increase or decrease by 1. So if you wanted to increase it by 5, you'd have to hit it 5 times, or you can go in and do it manually in the other one. So now we're in the range B6 to C6. Let's go here. In a range B6 to C, use conditional formatting to create a data bars rules in here. So let's move this over here. And we need to find B6 to C6. So B6 to C6. So it's conditional formatting. And here's the data bars here rule for you. It wants us to use gradient fill blue data bar option. So blue data bar. So let's see, this is blue data bar. So that looks like that'll work. We'll click outside to see what it looks like. And somehow I don't see any change, maybe because it's 0. Okay, so see her progress. Move the certificate requirements worksheet to spring. So let me look and see if that's supposed to be a 0 in there. Well, there is a 0. So let's take a look at this here. So we have 3.5 in here, in here, in here, and boom. So just for the heck of it, let's put in 3.5 and see what happens. So now you can see that the data bar actually worked. All right, so we're moving along, almost done. So the last thing is move the certificate requirements before the Spring 21 worksheet to use a more logical order. So it tells us document Spring 21 evaluations in here. So moving it is really very easy. If you're uncomfortable with dragging it, that's not a problem. So here's our certificate requirements. I'm going to right click on it and choose move or copy. If I want to make a copy, which I would do if I wanted to move it to another worksheet and keep the copy, I would just put a checkbox in here. But it wants it to move the certificate requirements after the Spring 21. So this is over here before sheet. So after the Spring 21. So it would have to be right here. Spring 21 schedule. So in this particular case, it would actually be moved to end. Notice it says before, and here they're saying after. So click on OK. And it tells us that the order should be documentation, Spring 21 evaluation, Spring 2021 schedule, and certificate requirements. You could click and drag it in there if you wanted to. And I think that looks like that is the entire project. So that is it for right now.